My name is Cristina Almeida with SpoilerTV, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Jesus Trejo. Jesus is a talented comedian known for his relatable and heartfelt humor. He's been making waves with his stand-up specials, and his latest project, the PBS docu-series Roots of Comedy, where he explores the diverse backgrounds and experience that shape comedians. Welcome, Jesus Trejo.
Oh, hello, good morning.
Hello. Thanks for meeting with me today.
Oh, thank you for taking time. I was super excited. I was like, yeah, let's do this.
I love it. I'm so happy to have you here. I really enjoyed Roots of Comedy, I have to tell you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for watching it. We're all super excited, and it's one of those things. Sorry, excuse me. Let me see. These
Yeah,
aren't taken. Let me
yeah, do whatever you need to do.
yeah, we're so excited. It was like one of those shows that it's like, man, it took almost 5 years to get up on the air, and it's like, oh my God, it's like it takes so long, and we're all
But
very
worth
happy.
it.
Thank you so much.
Well, so what inspired you to create the series?
So what inspired me, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, what inspired me to create the series was um yeah, wanting to tell stories, I think there's some really meaningful stories to be told. I think, I love stand-up comedy so much, and it's the thing that I've dedicated my adult life to, which
Right.
is comedy and the different forms of storytelling that comedy brings. And when you see these six comedians, you see how how great they are at what they do, telling jokes, bringing their a little bit of themselves on stage every time they go up.
Yeah.
They talk about what they know, and it's their family, it's their upbringing, it's but then also with every joke you kind of see where that lens comes from, and it's because of their upbringing, their family, their friends, their where they grew up. So it was just really cool to be able to do something like that. And I think the audience really, so far, the messages that I've got, it's really resonated with them. People really love comedy, but they really love to see kind of, looking behind the curtain. I think that's important too.
I agree. And that was one of the things I think I loved most about it. I really liked the variety of comedians that you chose. And like you said, they come from all walks of life. And one of the things you said that really resonated with me was that stand up comedy is an art form that brings people from different walks of life to it. So, I mean, this was for me super true with Elon's dribbling that you interviewed. And honestly, I never thought of comedy that way before, but like he had a completely different background, right? And but he brought it with him to the stage. So, yeah.
It's I think it's like that with a lot of things, but I think even more so with stand up, with comedy, it's a little more pronounced. I think it's true in life,
Yeah.
but in general, like with stand up, it's like I call it the Slumdog Millionaire movie effect.
Yeah.
Everything in your past will serve you in some way, shape, or form in the future. And I think stand up is a great platform and a launch pad to speak to those experiences.
Yeah.
We see it with Elon, we see it um, with so many of the other comics. Like we see it with Elon, we see it with Ali, we see it with Adam, Sierra,
Yeah.
like all of them. It's really cool because, yeah, to your point, it's like, what other line of work can you get like that wide of a spread of lived experiences and all kind of like fit perfectly together doing this one thing that we all love.
Yeah. And I thought that was great. And so how did you go about choosing the comedians that you chose? Because you had such a great range of people.
Yeah, like initially when we started kind of working out the thing, it's like I I don't know where I got this idea from, but it's like typical that you see like a season be like 10 episodes, right?
Right.
And even 10 episodes, it's so hard because there's so many darn comics that I want to like get on. And again, I'm a fan first of stand up, and I became a stand up second. So there's like I love stand up in all of its all of its shades and all of its varieties. So it's like I wanted to get so many comics on, and it's like the truth of it is that we had 6 episodes, and that was insanely and painfully difficult. But we just wanted to get a nice spread from coast to coast and in between, and yeah, it was just really cool. Like some of the comedians, most of the comedians I knew, but like say like Tatanka Means, it's like we were friends via Instagram and social media, where it's like, hey, what's up? You comment on somebody's video, it's like, give give an artist their flowers kind of thing. It's like, hey man, I really like this, or so we knew each other, but it was like what you saw on camera was literally like the first time that we met each other. It
Wow.
unfolded organically, so you see it. Same thing with Ali. It's like we knew of each other, but like you're seeing on camera in real time us forming what I like to think is a lifelong friendship.
Yeah, that's awesome. It absolutely felt organic watching it. So that was incredible. So one
Thank
of the yeah, sorry, yeah. One of the episodes that I really felt that I resonated with was Sierra.
you. Mhm.
I'm a I'm Canadian, but I'm an my parents were immigrants to Canada, and it's a little bit different in Canada than it is in the US, of course. But the thing about Sierra was that she wasn't just an immigrant, she was also a female. And so to see her kicking butt in this profession was amazing. So I was touched also by the support that her parents showed her too,
Beautiful.
like because you don't
So
usually see
beautiful.
that. Yeah.
one
So
of
the
one of the things I remember saying in that thing, and I said it's saying to Sierra's parents is that because of their support is why her star continued to rise.
yeah.
Like her star continues to like rise and keep going upwards because of that support. And I think we all eventually get that support, but to see it from such an early stage where it's like, you see the pictures, her being silly, and I think that's facilitated even a little bit more because of her grandfather and her cartooning experience. So they're in the world of humor, comedy, and
yeah.
and that kind of thing. And then to go to such an amazing Ivy League school and be able to pursue comedy at Harvard and be able to write for the school newspaper, and then later on camera, she's in a writer's room, she's on stage. It's like that was a really special one. And also to see her deep roots in LA, both
Yes.
her Chinese and Japanese side, to like have cemented their name in LA, and yeah, it was a really special episode for sure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It inspired me to go and check out some of her socials and see some of the
Yeah,
things that she's been up to, which I think you would hope would happen for these comedians, right?
absolutely. Like
Yeah.
you nailed it. It's like my hope, my honest hope is that people fall in love with all 6 of these comedians as much as we fell in love with them. It's like I fell in love with comedy. I happened to stumble on these great comedians, and it's just like, man, it's so special. But for anyone who's not into stand up the way I am to this extent, it's like for them to see and be like, wow, like this comic's for me. I understand that comedy is very subjective, so one comic may not be for you, and that's okay because there's so many that could benefit from support of people. Like if what they're saying resonates with you, is like please follow them, please like go to their shows. If they're ever selling a t-shirt, buy it. That's the best way to support directly what we're doing. If there's like if they're on TV, go watch it, like all of it, because they work really hard, they're very funny, and they're just good people. So
Yeah. That was absolutely evident from the series. So
thank you.
and you like yourself, are inspiring in a lot in so many ways for so many people. So that's awesome. Um so another thing that you guys talked about, you did such an amazing job covering diversity for sure. And another thing that I really liked was that you brought in the topic of mental health when you interviewed Ali. And like I'm a school counselor as well as
Oh,
this.
okay.
So I am a mental health advocate.
Work
So
over there. Yes.
yeah, I really appreciated that. And so do you think it's important for comedians to address mental health in their performances in a way that suits them.
I think I think it's important for anyone and everyone to address
Yeah,
mental health in whatever way feels authentic to them. You know, it's like
right.
I think people have different preferences and different um, windows of comfort in talking about it, excuse me, or exploring this kind of thing. So having said that, I think in stand up, it's like if if they're able to explore it in a way that feels real and authentic to them, I think by all means,
Yeah.
I've through this documentary, I've talked about it. I don't know that I've talked about it too much on stage. I have touched on it,
Hmm.
but you see somebody like Ali who has genuinely put the work in both for himself and into his career, and it shows. I mean,
Yeah.
you see how calm he is up there, and it's like you don't get there by not putting in the work and also being open. I think anyone that comes in contact with him, you see it in the show when they brought him up. You can see the love and respect that the local community has
Oh
for
yeah.
him. And it's
Yeah.
like, again, how do you get to that point is by letting the love in, and that's not easy for most people, and it's like that takes a lot of work. We all have our experiences that make us kind of go like, hey, chill out. But
Yeah.
it's the work that lets us put the dukes down and let the light in a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great way of putting that. Um, did you face any challenges when you were, besides choosing the comedians, which I'm sure was hard?
Yeah, that
Were
was
there
super
any other
hard.
challenges that you faced?
I think one of the challenges is it's I guess one of the challenges is it's like you know I I learned so much of what goes into like putting a series together, and the challenges were like, how do you fit, like, you got to keep in mind we were in each of these locations for like a week plus,
Yeah.
like almost 2 weeks at each of these locations. So it's like we took a better part of 2 months last year to record this series. So it's like if you notice, if you go on the PBS app to watch it, it's like the episodes are 25 minutes.
Yeah.
That is
That's
that is
hard.
tough. Yeah, that's tough.
How do you whittle that down for sure? Yeah.
There's so much footage, and even my dad came over yesterday and we were able to watch one of the episodes together. Like, he's been watching them and he really likes it, but one of the things that he was like, we started having a conversation, and as I'm having that conversation, I'm realizing, I'm like, there's so much that didn't make it in, and there's so many thoughtful, meaningful conversations. So it's like the challenge becomes, it's like, how can we still convey the story and do right by the comedians and their families and the story that they're trying to tell,
Right.
but being okay with I mean, the audience doesn't know all that's like left on the table, but as someone who's in the know, and even our guests, I'm sure, like, oh, I wonder what happened to that part. So I think that's a challenge that I just kind of have in my head. I'm like, oh, yeah, I hope the comedians like their episodes, and know that our focus was to showcase them and uplift them specifically. Yeah, so I think it can be a challenge. It's like, this is the first project that I've executive produced to this extent on TV. So it's like,
Okay.
so some of these challenges are new to me, but they weren't new to the amazing crew that made this possible. From the director, the DP, the producers, the yeah, all of it. It was really special.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, you could tell that a lot of love went into this project for sure.
Oh,
And if
awesome,
yeah,
awesome.
that's one of the things that as soon as I watched the first episode, I'm like, wow, like you could tell
Oh,
there was so much love pouring through that screen. So
it's
um
so sweet. Thank you for your kind words. They
yeah.
like honestly, they're not lost on me. It's so meaningful. It's like, I mean, I don't know if you've ever like kind of deal with this kind of thing, but it's like, you work so hard, you do something you love, and you work so hard, and you put it out there, you hope it resonates, and you just would be so heartbroken if someone's like, I don't like it, which is okay, it's totally valid, but it's like when I hear, words like the ones you're so kind in speaking, it really makes my heart skip a beat. So thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. And it's genuine, like it really is. So what about you and your path to comedy? Were your parents supportive? How did you get involved in comedy?
So I started comedy when I was 20 years old. I went to a local open mic here in Long Beach, California, and um, no, it wasn't an open mic. It was actually a real show, and I showed up. I was too young to get on stage and got kicked out. Was told that if I can get past the bouncer the following week that I can go up. So, I mean, don't tease me with a good time. I showed up. I got past him somehow with no ID, and I went up and I bombed. So I will say that I bombed so hard the first time that it took a year for me to get back up there. And I'll admit, it's like I talk about in the documentary that I wasn't having any real success on stage as an artist. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about like money or anything. I'm talking like getting laughs, having command of stand-up comedy until like around year 6. I mean, I was bombing. And so I think, I may have shared with my parents too soon that that's what I wanted to do because they only saw what wasn't working.
Right.
So it was kind of hard. I really dug a hole for myself to kind of get my parents to be on board with something that I was not good at. And understandably so, I think parents want the best for their kids and they want a stable job. So when they see somebody struggle to the extent that I did, they were like, the heck with this. It's like, do something else. It's like, why are you putting yourself in the path of the most resistance?
Yeah.
So I think I struggled for a long time for support, but you know what? I ended up getting support from my parents when I was supposed to, whatever that means. It's like
Yeah.
I finally got it. I got it from, you know, rest in peace, my mother. I was able to see. I was able to see it from my mother. It's like she gave me the support. Those last handful of years, she was really supportive and was able to kind of see my hard work pay off. And even my dad now, he goes, man, you're doing great. And he saw the series, he goes, man, that looks so good. And so yeah, it took time, but I'm glad I got it this way. So
Well, your dad should be proud, and I'm sure your mom would be very proud of you. So
yeah,
what
I think so.
but in those tough moments, like what motivated you to keep going? Because so many people would just be like, okay, I'm giving up.
I think I'm just stubborn.
I love that. Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm stubborn. And it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just something that I really is like, best way I can explain it is just something that I really love to do. And I think maybe I've like maybe I found my calling, and I just
Yeah.
it's some time to get adjusted and figure out how to do it. But it's like I honestly feel like comedy and all of its forms of storytelling is my calling.
Yeah.
So
And
so
passion is such a huge motivator too, right? When you
it
love
is.
something, it's hard. You just don't walk away from it. Yeah.
Yeah, passion is big. It's like and sometimes even though you know what you want and what you're passionate about, when somebody says like, "What are you passionate about?" It kind of catches you on slippery ice. You're like,
Yeah.
what are you passionate about?
I am passionate about so many things. I'm passionate about, like I said, mental health and, inspiring youth and young people. And that's something that as I'm enjoying my career, and now that I'm doing more work for our website, which is phenomenal, I never want to give up that piece of me that works with kids and inspires kids. So
I love
that's
that.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
that. But isn't it like a cool thing when you're able to like, what's the word, to identify those things, right? Once you
Yes.
identify them, you're like, these are my markers, and it's everything within this space that I will jokingly, this is like, I guess the phrase people says like, this is a hill that I want to die on. I mean, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
this is I identify the markers. This is kind of the parameter, and I will dedicate my adult life to this quadrant. Everything else, I wish I could do more, but this is I'm just gonna focus here.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so important to have a passion, and it's so evident that you do. So
And
do
you too.
you?
I could
Oh,
feel it. So thank you.
you're welcome. Um, So, where do you have like favorite comedians? Who are you influenced by in comedy? It's one of the things I was wondering.
Yeah, it's such a complicated question, because I
Yeah.
I will say that so English is my second language, so I didn't
Okay.
have real command of the English language till like let's say around fifth grade, right? So
Wow.
before I was watching and listening to a lot of like Spanish speaking comedians, stuff that my parents would love and watch.
Right.
So there was a Mexican comedian that would make movies. His name was Cantinflas, right? And amazing comedian, very funny. He would like one of his memorable movies was him as a street sweeper. He would go around with a canister and a broom and a dustpan, and he would clean the streets. And he would get into all kinds of shenanigans and that kind of thing. And it was so funny. Um, Actually, Charlie Chaplin regarded him. They were around the same timeline. Regarded Cantinflas as one of the funniest comedians alive. So it was around that
Wow.
kind of era of film and comedy. Um, there's an indigenous woman out of Mexico. She very similar, kind of did movies in it. Like there was like one of her most popular films was called Ni de aquí ni de allá, like not from here nor there, where she immigrates to the U.S. and then realizes that she doesn't like it here, so she comes back.
Okay.
It was so funny, so physical, and it's like I remember seeing my parents like just cry laughing at these wonderful, hysterical movies with lots of heart. So that was
Hmm.
one. Chespirito was another one. He was an amazing playwright that was a tiny, very short guy. So Chespirito, Shakespeare, Little Shakespeare. That his nickname was Little Shakespeare. Um, and then as I started getting older, it's like you start to. I started to discover stand-up comedians, and I think the first one was one of the first ones. I forget, but Howie Mandel with Bobby's World, right? Because it was like the cartoon, and it was like, oh, this is great. And then as I got older, I'm like, wait, he's a stand-up comedian. Like that's crazy. Louis Anderson with Life with Louis, it's like Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, and the list
So
keeps going
many.
on and on.
Yeah.
So those are the initial ones, but I mean, there's so many. It's hard for me to just pick one.
Oh, I can imagine. Howie Mandel is a Canadian legend, just so you know.
Yes. Oh, for sure. For
We
sure.
love him up here.
Canadian legend. I've got to I've had the pleasure of seeing him a couple times at like
Nice.
Comedy Store, like around town. But Bobby's World was such a big thing in my upbringing as a kid that I was like, wow. And imagine like mind blown when I found out that like he does stand-up
Stand
comedy.
up. Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, so in his footsteps, I'm like, I always wish like one day I'll have a cartoon.
Yeah. Maybe you will.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
So, what advice do you have to people who are starting up in stand up comedy or who maybe want to pursue it?
What advice? I think my biggest advice is something I can pull from my initial start is don't be encouraged or discouraged by the results when you first doing it. It's like you'll have good sets and bad sets, and for me, I had way more bad sets than I even had anything close to a good set, for years. But I enjoyed it at its core. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. That's too loud. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I can hardly hear it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like all I can. My biggest advice is to love to write. Here it is. Here's the advice. Learn to fall in love with failing on stage. Because that's the only marker that you're getting better. It's like you can do a joke that works over and over again. It's like truly that works, and there's something to be said about that, to make a joke better, or it serves its purpose. But it's like when you're taking risks, you're gonna fail, and that's a good sign because
Hmm.
eventually when you get the joke to work, it's gonna work. Fall in love with writing, fall in love with performing. Always keep your eyes open. There's so much funny to pull from in the world that it's like we would do ourselves a disservice not to keep our eyes and ears and heart open, to be able to see these things. So my advice is to yeah to bring it back full circle, to be passionate about it.
Yeah, I love that. Do you have any upcoming projects or shows that you're excited about?
Yes. So I have some upcoming shows. I'm gonna go on the road. So this Thursday, I'm gonna be in this May 30th, I'm gonna be in Brooklyn. May 31st, I'm gonna be in Boston. And then June, I'm in La Jolla, California. September, Oxnard. Oh, and I have a kid's book that's coming out. My second book is coming
Nice.
out September 10th. The first one is called Papa's Magical Water Jug Clock. And we're really excited because the book earned 2 Pura honors, which is one of the highest honors you can get in Latino literature through the American Library
Yeah.
Association. So, and Reforma. So we got an honor as an author and an honor as Eliza King as an illustrator. So I don't know that that happens all too often. So we're really ecstatic and excited that the story, the book, that those awards are celebrating the whole team, everyone that it took to bring this book to life. So that was
Yeah.
the first book, and now we have a second one. It's called Mama's Magnificent Dancing Plantitas, and it's dedicated to my late mother and her love for plants. So September 10th, it comes out, Spanish and English, dual release.
I love that.
Yeah, my wife did the Spanish translation. She consulted on the project, so for both books actually. So
That's great.
yeah, so go check it out.
I will bring that book to my students for sure. I
Oh
think
my
they'd
God,
love
yes,
that. Yeah.
yes, yes, please.
And then I'll let you know how they receive it for sure.
Oh, please, yeah, absolutely. These last couple of months, I've been out doing school readings, and it's been really cool to see, the story. The first book, Papa's Magical Water Jug Clock, is based on my upbringing working landscaping with my father. My father was a landscaper,
Yeah.
so I used to mow lawns, and it's based on this inside joke that we had with like, my dad would tell me that he was able to tell what time it was based on how much water was in this like orange water jug. And I thought that was pretty cool. I thought it was like a superpower my dad had. He's like, when the water's gone, that's when I know it's time to go home. Whenever I wanted to go home early, I used to go waste water, to go home early. But there's a nice message in the book as well, basically explaining that time and water are precious and they shouldn't be wasted. So
Yeah.
go get the book. It's in Spanish, it's in English, and look out for the second one. It's like I'm so excited for the second one. Like I can't begin to tell you.
That is awesome. Well, I'm definitely checking both of those out. You seem so proud of your upbringing. I love that. Just you're so humble. Yeah.
Oh, you're too sweet. Yeah, I'm very lucky. I think when I was a kid, it's like if you would have asked me when I was a kid, I think I would have said differently.
I think we all would when we were kids,
Right.
right?
But you look back and you like are able to distill all these really nice lessons and happenings. And I'm like, oh man, I'm sure I wish things would have been different, sure. But it's like at the end of the day, it's like, man, like how lucky am I to have that experience to pull from and to learn from and and make it into like a funny, wacky thing in a book or on stage, whatever it is. So yeah, I'm pretty lucky, I guess.
You are, yeah. So what are your goals for the future? More
So
stand-up, more books?
yeah, more stand-up, more books. I'm working on a special, which hopefully I can put out. My second special I self-produced and put on YouTube. And,
Nice.
it was received quite well. So, we're excited for that. And also excited to follow it up with like another one. So I'm gonna hopefully record a special soon and I can be able to send it out. Hopefully one of the big streamers is interested, and if not, we'll put it on YouTube, again and have more books. I have some more books, on the way that I'm excited to put out there. Let's see what else, and hopefully, this does well, and there's a way in which we can bring a season 2 to
Yeah. I
Roots
would
of
love a
comedy.
season two.
Yes, yes.
I swear there's got to be hundreds more, thousands more good people that you can interview out there.
There's so many stories,
Yeah.
and I mean, we can go forever without ever overlapping with any one story, which I think is beautiful.
Hmm.
Uh, there's space for everybody, and yeah, I hope we get an opportunity to keep the show around for a very long time. I think there's so many comedians that the world needs to see, and
Hmm.
hopefully this show could be um, a vehicle for that.
Yeah, I like that for sure. And so, how can people stay updated with what you're up to?
You can go to the website, JesusTrejo.com. I'm on Instagram at Jesus Trejo, and then the number one. So Jesus Trejo one.
Yep.
What else? I'm on TikTok
Love it.
and all that good stuff. Yeah, go to JesusTrejo.com. All the dates are listed there, all the upcoming shows. We got shows from now until October. So go check out yeah, go check out the calendar. Hopefully
Yeah,
I'm near your city and would love to meet everyone. So
that's amazing. Thanks so much for talking to me today. It was such a
thank
pleasure
you so
getting
much
to
for
know
your
you.
time. You're
Yeah.
the best. Thank you so much for the time, Christina.
Yeah, I wish you the best of luck in everything that you do.
Thank you. Likewise. And yeah, thank you. You're very sweet. Thank you for taking time out of your day to have this chat. It was really cool. Um, even as we're having this conversation, it made me reflect on a lot of things. So thank you for your positive vibes. So
Oh, that's awesome. Well, it was my pleasure. So thanks so much. And I'll be following what you're up to because it's all good stuff.
you're very sweet. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Yeah, you take care of yourself.